CTM. What's going on, everyone, on this Monday? I hope you're well and doing great. We got a big session over here, as you all know, for the past, especially a few days coming into the end of last week. I've been dialed in, looking to make sure that we get the new generation of CTM 2.0, built on the CTM 2.0 framework. First, it was dropped by Javier. Big shout out to the CTM Hive Mind Collective Collaboration. I remember the day that Javier dropped CTM 2.x, built on top of CTM 2.0. I saw on over the weekend Javier liking the diversification video that we shared inside the Discord. That was the talk with Brownie Brown. And if you haven't had a chance to see that video, CTM, that's inside the announcements channel of the Discord. And it talks about different types of layering and what it does. I think it is absolutely high signal and the direction we're going to be going in, but we're going to be going in so many directions at once. At the beginning of the year, I know that Ace was looking for a little bit of a springboard, and everything in CTM actually happens right on time. We are getting close. Be South, I have a bunch of work to get to you as well, to get you going, to keep you going. I want to be able to hang out today and talk about what has been happening in the markets. As you know, the last 2 days on Thursday and Friday, CTM, we did not do our regular sessions, and there's a lot to catch up on. But today we do have the release of CTM 2.x V5 on stocks. This is, again, the CTM 2.0 framework. V5 additions include the fixed stop loss applied on the trailing exit, automation alert and order box templates for executions and platform integration, and then the upgraded performance table, the UI. Now, we have about, of all of CTM at this particular moment, about 1/10 of you with access. By the end of today, before the market closes today, it will be 100% access. inside the dashboard, I will go ahead and have all of the templates available, except one. We're going to have what you see here will be available. I'll get into this over here. This is actually an elegant solution. We're going to have to look at Tesla in 1 minute. Cabby, I don't hear any ticking, clicking on my side, and that's not to say it's not coming from my side. If anyone else has that weird clicking or ticking, I can't I can't even tell you the amount what I got going on in this machine right now. So it could very well be that. Um, we're gonna talk about everything. First, let me just jump over and take a look at what happened on Friday on the NASDAQ with an absolute bloodbath occurring. If you come to the weekly chart, that's what I was worried about, seeing some type of engulfing pattern occurring on the weekly. You could see a couple, you could see one over here that led to, what ultimately was that scare into March into April. Prior to that, you have, well, that's an engulfing over here. The doji already was giving it up, but then you could see it over there, and another one over here, and they have led to pullbacks in the past. Again, another one over here, and yes, we're now watching and seeing what is in store next, and nothing has changed in so much as that this is being driven still by the geopolitical situation occurring in Iran with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. We saw the mega great job, the best you've ever seen, the best ever. Why are stocks going down on that really insanely good jobs report? And Mr. President, well, the reason that the stocks were selling off on that report is because that goes ahead and that gives the Fed, with your new boy Wash, the chairman, it makes his job a lot harder for cutting rates. And I didn't get a chance. I've been just working and working and working and building and building and building. From my understanding from a very far, though, that a lot of those jobs added might be things like bartenders, maybe ahead of the World Cup. I don't know. Um, Sailor back on the bid, and a lot of people are just really the fog of Sailor. We'll call it right now. So today we have a bounce right into that horizontal resistance you could see right now. Actually, a perfect bounce right into that horizontal resistance I wanted to bring up. And soon enough, we'll get into our regular CTM sessions where we're covering the macro, where we're covering the TA and our positioning. This is a major milestone day, getting out the CTM to 2.x V5 onto stocks, and the timing is absolutely perfect. And why I say that was because, again, I started mentioning over here, coming back until the middle of April or the beginning of April, that I was working on the stocks, and a big wave came into the market, and all of those trades were into open positionings. And that has now changed. Let's start over here with CTM 2.0 V2. And aside from strategy holding an open short and TQQQ holding a trade that's giving back a lot of profit after Friday's slaughter, basically at break even right now, everything else is out of the market. And it was a good run. It was a good run for sure. We saw also over here a lot of action taking place on V4, on Bitcoin and crypto. We saw Bitcoin taking a nice trade out of the market on the downside, and out of nowhere being able to capitalize, taking that nice 12% gain. Ethereum is still in the position with this 23% open trade. Cardano, I mean, the stop loss and the taking of it was beautiful to watch. You could see over here just first those two nice grabs over the last week, and then giving back one over here. Very, very, very good trading. And then we see Solana still holding the 6% unrealized gains. Charles Hopkins, is that how you pronounce Charles's name? The founder of Cardano, just he's had enough, walking away. Uh, it is going to be the best ever. I wanted to bring up for you some, by the way, look at this over here. Look at that liquidity grab. It doesn't look the same, but it looks a lot the same, and it's a lot different. It's a lot different in many different ways, and including the whole situation with the Strait of Hormuz. But if you go back and you look at the fourth quarter of 2019, when the Fed had to stop QT and begin raising their balance sheet, we saw the initial up move on Bitcoin, and then we saw here, I'll show you on the chart. So how do I get there as quick as possible? Let me come back down to a weekly chart and then shut off that alarm. And then you could see over here in 2019, you saw the Fed have to abruptly stop QT and begin running their balance sheet up. And Bitcoin's initial move right here was this move up and then put in a major lower low, and then it was able to bounce, and it swept the low, and then that was it until they locked down the globe. And now we're seeing a much different and a much longer time frame, but we've seen the same thing happen where Bitcoin's initial reaction was up, a much lower low, and then that now sweep of the low. So, hey, listen, yeah, I seen people getting slaughtered on their view just a couple of weeks ago, and now being hailed as the savior. This is far from over. And listen, we're gonna have to stay in front of it, because it ultimately is going to wind up looking a lot different than people suspect. Whether the 4-year cycle breaks to the upside and or downside, listen, I think a lot of people have misconstrued, let's say, war breaking out that cut off 20% of the world's energy supply, and trying to, anyway, we'll find out. Interesting though to me that we did see that the low was just swept. And of course, this could lead to a bounce and then a much bigger leg down. I don't know. You don't know. And that's why we have our moats, to make sure that regardless of what's happening, we are on the right side. And that is the single most important thing. One other thing before we get into the V5 is that gold took a big hit as well on Friday, and that was on the job reports as well, because that put in the expectations of a hike into the end of the year, and that's not conducive for gold. You see China continues stacking. If you saw the report, they continue adding to their holdings. Has anything changed for the bullish case of gold? Listen, we live in wild times. I still think that even though the market is pricing in a cut right now, I mean, a hike right now, that I think there's a greater chance uh, that the market is mispriced at this particular moment. We're gonna have to find out. He's doing his best. Did he tell like Israel, like, I'm in charge, you can't attack? And then Israel's like, okay, we're gonna attack. And then he's, listen, I don't know what's going to happen here. People think that time is running out and the clock is ticking, and it must be. I mean, you can see that oil's reaction is kind of benign today, but not the 10-year. So let's just jump over, and you could see that. Is this correct? I don't even know if this is correct. Why am I saying is this correct? Well, I feel like the price should be much different. Well, it's not. Doesn't matter what you think. I guess trading as high as 95 and then now down substantially after Iran announced that, hey, they're done. Doesn't mean Israel's done, but they say they're done for now. And then you see the 10-year obviously moving towards pricing in that next coming move, and it's not looking good here. It's more than a clown world. I don't know how this plays out. We got obviously the SpaceX IPO coming to the front of the well, that's a big macro play at this particular moment. Google just raising as much as the SpaceX IPO is expected to raise. Is the market gonna be able to absorb that type of coming to market for liquidity? And then the question after that is, well, what's going to happen? Are we going to see, the market then see a big over the next couple of months, 2 to 3 months, are we going to see a major cashing in from long-term SpaceX shareholders and employees? Likely, but hey, I don't know if it gets absorbed or not. We're going to be watching. A lot of people have varying opinions. From what I see, I have a lot to talk about in the days ahead. I have a lot to talk about from what I've been seeing and experiencing. But right now, let's take a look at what's going on V5, which is also bringing back the old essence of CTM, in so much as that I want to bring back the collective power of the hive mind, giving people the ability to see what's going on behind the scenes, as we always have, with full inputs, which allows people to explore further on different assets. However, I'm working in the lab each and every day, and I'm gonna have some exciting stuff. If you remember the work we were doing on CTM backtester, Romans drop early on, and the ability to go ahead and backtest infinitely faster, something like that is in the works. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful, beautiful. Dude, we used to have chopsticks, Daniel. What's going on? What's with the chopsticks? I want to bring back the chopsticks. We saw this massive trade. I don't know if it'll ever happen again on uh, on TQQQ, taking a 56% profit over here out of the market. I'm interested. Was that the largest take of CTM of TQQQ? They've changed all these metrics significantly, haven't they? So I can't tell. So no, it's not, Jordan. We've had 6 trades between 44 and 79%. That mere 56% winner that was just taken out as we began forward testing was nothing more than in the mean of the largest winners. That's insanity. That's insanity. That's craziness. And we got over. Let me bring this down a little. That was fun. Cabby, man, first of all, Cabby has an exciting potential. He created a momentum filter, and it is at the top of my list. Top of my list is today having 100% access for all the CTM to the CTM 2.x V5 across stocks over here. That's number one. And I'm not even talking about what I'm doing in between. Getting the dashboard out so that everyone has then access, as we've seen a reset, except for FNGD, which is still short, holding an open trade here, 34%, which means that's FNGU on the upside. Everything else is closed out. We've seen a nice set of waves come into the market on equities here and now come out. The beauty was that equities were long, Bitcoin and crypto short, and you never know what's going to happen. But following that momentum is absolutely everything. I it's it's got a massive. I don't know, Vakanet. I wanted to bring up. Let me bring it up. Let's just look at it. You guys in a rush, or are we gonna hang out and make sure we get done what we need to get done here today? And that's what I'm about. And by the way, I missed you over the last couple of days, so even more so, I'm happy to spend the time. And for those who are willing to put the work in, they're gonna find out what's in store here. And that's it. Let me go ahead and just put this up. This is just one chart, but it's an interesting one. So when a 2% down day presents itself on the back of a 10% quarter. On Friday, we saw the S&P down 2.64%, which occurred on the back of an 11% quarter, 13 weeks. Since 1950, there's been 34 prior occasions. It reminds me of this chart a little bit. And this was when you put in the high, where you are 3 months later on the average, making that momentum. And you see usually a higher high put in. We came back since that chart was put up, actually. Let me just go ahead and jump over. That chart was put up over here in May 14th. We had a slight pullback, and we still put in a higher high, but 3 months later suggests that we are higher. The forward performance in those 34 cases on average of the bullish friendly variety, the sixth color, which occurred in June, which we just did. And where's the final analysis here? So 1 week later, very mixed, right? 4 weeks later, very mixed. 13 weeks later, a quarter later, we were looking at 3 months later on this particular chart over here. And this is, the same exact thing. And you could see, generally speaking, strength begets strength. And then you move out. And with the exception of what happened over here in 2011, where you were down 14%, and then over here, everything is significantly higher. So, Grok, could you analyze that, build out over here? And you could see that with the projected price, the average price going forward, a lot of people are very and remain very bearish. And I can't say that they're wrong. I look at the price action that by the way, the volume on that was very low, right? On that sell off the last 2 days was very low. A lot of people are very bearish, and how could they not be, with the potential for an energy spike and shock and demand destruction in play? It could very, very, very well happen. And most people are surprised that it hasn't happened already. And you could go back into March and you could go back to the people who are like, you got to get 100% in cash. We're about to see, oil spike to 150 and equities are coming off 30%, 40%. And so far they've been very wrong. But if that happens tomorrow, at that point, see, I told you. And that's what, yeah, okay, you did. And ultimately you were right. You were off sides here for 4 months, but ultimately you were right. Or that might not happen. And to their great surprise, you might see the market continue to shake it off, the problem to be resolved, and then ultimately you're left behind on what is a massive, massive move. That's why I prefer the moats. That's why I prefer not having to guess and making sure that we continue to stay on the right side. Let me just jump back over here and get back. And Tesla's kind of exciting. Look at this work over here. It's insane, guys. This is insane. Guys, on Tesla, I have over here something else that this is buy side only, by the way, on our Tesla template. Brownie Brown, remember, he did one that's buy and sell. And then I have another version. So this will be called O2. And on the release today, this one's not included. Only because I want to get everything out, and also because I plan to have other potential versions. This is on NVIDIA, and this doesn't work. This is not it. If I tried, it's the same version. We will have multiple choices, CTM problems, which is a good thing. And then also, if you watch Brownie Brown's diversification, it's a great thing. And that's where we're at. Tesla over here, I on the O2 version, which when I say it's not released today, like it's not going to be like soon. But today I just want to make sure I get everything out. This is Tesla in comparison over here on the buy and sell side. You could see that drawdown coming down, and you could see that's amazing. This is so quick to be able to catch the short side and take advantage, which is very hard in an asset that has been moving up and to the right to do. And it also gives me an idea of trying to translate that everywhere else. It might not be to V6 in order to be able to achieve that. It works on this version. It's very exciting. I am very excited. I'm extraordinarily excited, and we're gonna keep going here. So that's really exciting. GBTC is really not any different from what we've been executing off of. I'm not doing side to side comparisons versus V2, so it could be, and it might be. So you know what that means. I want to answer that question and take a look over here. So I'm looking, and my eyes are not finding V2, and then we got GBTC. Oh, well. Oh, let's double the performance. Yeah. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, so yeah, it is better. Bitcoin hasn't done anything since 2025. Buy and hold down significantly. This just maintaining. Absolutely beautiful. Here's our FNGD, trading the FNG long over here. And then NVIDIA is so hard to outperform buy and hold. So hard. It's so difficult on the best performing asset to, and there was a time when Bitcoin and NVIDIA were hand in hand. You think they'll ever be again? But the best performing asset, NVIDIA, is incredibly hard to outperform buy and hold. But here's the thing, and this is true. You don't know what happens tomorrow. And there's not anything different back in October when Bitcoin's trading at $125,000. And then now 55% drawdown. And NVIDIA tomorrow, I expect that it's going to continue to outperform and it's going to continue to be a powerhouse. And I think its price to earnings is appropriate right now. And I think that there's an insatiable need for compute. And the more energy comes online, the more compute that's going to be needed. And I think that NVIDIA is got a bright future ahead of it. However, there could come a point in time when competition begins to eat at its margins, and maybe they're selling more compute than ever, but at a lower margin. And we see, you never know. And buy and hold is great when something is up and to the right, but you never know when that's going to go ahead and collapse. And that's the difference, or why I would prefer to trade a moat and be on the right side than than take the chance that it's going to continue to be up and to the right. Great companies, but Google as well. Super fantastic. Strategy has been a beast of late. And you could see the upside and downside over here. You saw that strategy taking that over here. You had the long side that 14% RV2 took, and then you see the short side in action over here, being able to pivot from long side to short side, exit back into the trade over here. Absolute beautiful. This is going to take CTM over here to the absolute next level, except that it's just the very beginning of what's going to be happening here in 2026. And it is going to be an absolute joy. It is going to be an absolute joy. Today is just, guys, listen. What I say, guys, is guys and girls. We have now CTM on stocks. CTM 2.x V5 on stocks. This is just the beginning. And I expect that just like this O2 version of Tesla will be released. And by the way, I have no problem getting out what is perceived best here, getting into the hands of CTM, the ability to go ahead and across assets also allow them to go ahead and collaborate and figure out where they, and then I'm going to continue pushing them out. Just like this other option here on Tesla, I'm going to continue. By the way, which is better? The buy side only on which of these? So let me go ahead over here and take off the short. And you could see that the buy side here is significantly better in drawdown and return. If I could, and this is when I talk about V6, what I would like to be able to do, which can't be done in this moment, would be incorporate the short side of this template with the buy side of this template. Then this combined return is going to get dwarfed. That's there you go. There's the taste of what will be next, only that I'm working on a mountain of stuff and it's so incredibly exciting. It's gonna we talk about progression, and you enter these plateaus, and then you take everything you learned and you consolidate it before the next move up in knowledge and ability. That's what's happening here, except our ascent up this time before we hit the next plateau is going to be significant. Buckle in. This is going to be absolutely game changing. Everyone, that I really want to be here with y'all, but I have to get back to work because I want to make sure by the end of today that each and every one of you have your own CTM 2.x V5 on stocks on your own computers. And then also, by the way, these are open. This is back to CTM's roots, where we have the hive mind, collective collaboration. If someone could beat me, go ahead. Please do. That's what I want, someone to take the work that I've been able to done and then make it better and or elsewhere. And don't worry, I'm a competitive guy. Whatever you could do, I'm going to do better. Everyone, have a beautiful day. CTM, strong. God bless you all. I'll be back here now working, getting this out to you and available here on the inside. If you have not yet hit the thumbs up on your way out, please do show some love. Let's get going. This video, by the way, is just a CTM work session, so it'll probably be coming down in just a moment anyway. Everyone, speak to you soon.